Not much remains today of the grandeur of past years. Some were sunk, some were damaged, and the rest are preparing to go under. The Russian Black Sea Fleet was once again shaken by explosions, and this time it seems the Kremlin has seriously decided to move the ships as far away as possible from Ukraine's borders. Several dozen ships have already left the Crimean ports. This is just the beginning, experts assure. Where do the Russians plan to hide their ships? And which vessels have the Ukrainian special services managed to sink this time? Watch about this in today's Arsenal. After a short pause, a new wave of Ukrainian attacks unexpectedly struck the Black Sea Fleet. On Friday the 13th, the military ship Pavel Derzhavin fully experienced the mysterious mystique of this day in the Sevastopol Bay. According to eyewitnesses, the explosion was so powerful that it was heard even in the city center. Later, our naval forces reported that this was already the second successful attack on a ship within a week. The first occurred 2 days earlier. But the story didn't end there. The tugboat Nikolai Muru rushed to assist the damaged Derzhavin, which, as you might have guessed, was also attacked and hit. The information was confirmed by the Ukrainian Navy.
The Pavel Derzhavin got a little sad, and as it turned out, Yaokolya Muru also felt down. You could say it was a kind of Friday the 13th for the Black Sea Fleet of the Russian Federation.
Also, according to yet unconfirmed information, a small missile boat of the Buyan Emam project was blown up near Sevastopol. These are the very boats that regularly terrorize the Odessa region by firing Onyx missiles at it. It is likely that these events were the final reason for the Kremlin to make an unprecedented decision. After many months of supplying Ukraine with Russian naval equipment, it was decided to move the ships further away from the territory under our control. Dozens of vessels were sent to Novorossiysk, Feodosia, and Kerch. There is information that Russia even plans to resume storing its ships in the ports of Abkhazia.
The fleet of ships in the Azov Black Sea region has been dispersed across all bases except for Sevastopol, because they do not feel entirely safe there. Indeed, this decision was made earlier, as these ships are not directly involved in combat operations, and therefore it was decided to secure them in the Black Sea. This applies to both cruise missile carriers and patrol and guard boats.
This is not surprising, since the start of the full-scale war, Russia has already lost more than 24 of its vessels. The most notable and significant remains the cruiser Moskva, which was hit on April 13th last year. By the fall of 2023, the next greatest loss for the Russian Black Sea Fleet was the damaged submarine Rostov-on-Don, and again on the 13th, this time in September. We made a separate Arsenal episode about this high-profile event. If you missed it, be sure to follow the link. There's a lot of interesting stuff there. In the meantime, we are moving on. Besides the high-profile explosions on September 13th, our special services and military carried out dozens of successful special operations to destroy the Russian flotilla. Here is just a partial list of ships that either went to the bottom or for parts. The small missile ship Veliki Ustyug, the youth army boat Baltic, the large landing ship Saratov, the tugboat Vasily Bek. Also, during a recent attack on the submarine, the new flagship of the Black Sea Fleet, Admiral Makarov, the sea minesweeper Ivan Golubets, and one unidentified vessel were damaged.
As of now, you can see the fire impact on the territory of temporarily occupied Crimea. You can see the enemy's losses of air defense systems, a command post, and the fleet command headquarters. possibly even the loss of the commander, not to mention the loss of the flagship. So they have effectively hit the jackpot. Therefore, based on the results, we can say that we have the means, we are using them, and we will continue to use them in the future.
These means are well known to the Russians. However, it is unknown how to counter them. The small sea drones, affectionately named by their designers, successfully complete their missions time and again. By the way, they participated again in the latest attack near Sevastopol. Also, according to our military leadership, new developments were used in the special operation, which, for understandable reasons, have not yet been named.
Today, the enemy is beginning to understand that there is indeed a significant threat, but they cannot completely neutralize it. And the latest satellite images show how they are trying to protect Sevastopol. Well, I'll say this, those who lead the fleet of sea minnows smiled and continued doing their thing. You can interpret this as you heard it.
They understand this in Moscow as well. Despite their insane desire to demilitarize and disarm everyone, they decided to specifically disarm the Sevastopol Bay by sending ships away from the dangerous harbor. But the paradox here is that, in fact, the most reliable ships, which are our main target, cannot be removed from there. The logistics of the Russians at sea are arranged in such a way that there are only two options for the Black Sea Fleet: either to refrain from missile strikes on Ukraine and withdraw the fleet, or to remain in Sevastopol and await new attacks by sea drones.
Sevastopol is the main naval base of the strategically important and historically significant Black Sea Fleet in the Black Sea area. Only there are the calibers loaded onto the ships. Accordingly, they cannot completely leave this area.
And this, by the way, is not the only instance where Ukraine has managed to confront the fleet of the so-called Second Army in the world with a fait accompli. Consider the Russian attempts to land troops on the Odessa coast at the beginning of the full-scale war. After losing dozens of their marines, the Kremlin abandoned this idea, but a whole subclass of military ships ended up idling without purpose. As a result, the assault ships were turned into ordinary cargo ships by wise leadership.
For example, large landing ships will no longer be used near the coast of Ukraine. The enemy is also aware of this and is now trying to use them more as logistical hubs to transport goods.
Speaking of transporting goods, on the mass destruction of Russian ships actually began with Russia's withdrawal from the grain deal, and the terror against shipping in the Black Sea. So, the bunker guy lost out here. As they say, completely and utterly. According to British intelligence analysis, if you convert the damaged ships into monetary terms, Russia has already lost more from its withdrawal from the deal than it would have gained by not violating the agreement. And the Ukrainian army of naval drones is just gaining momentum.
The significant risk of further military losses and potentially serious political consequences if Russia were to openly attack commercial shipping would likely outweigh any potential gains from attempting to block trade in Ukraine.
But as the classic writer said, you cannot understand Russia with your mind. Step by step, by making increasingly barbaric decisions, Putin is bringing Russia closer to an inevitable catastrophe. And the absence of the Black Sea Fleet fits perfectly into this concept. And don't forget to support us with a like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss new episodes of Arsenal.